welcome back to Inside Eastern Utah. I'm Shannon Hughley-Childs, and this is Scotty Draper, and we are here with one of my favorite people, Danelle Pendergrass, and we are going to talk about women's health and your practice in Carbon County. And I just have to say, Carbon County is so lucky to have you.
Thank you.
You've done some wonderful, wonderful things, and are you still sitting on, tell me the board that you were sitting on. And are you still sitting on that?
The American Association
Yes.
of Nurse Practitioners. I was acting as the state rep. I served
Yes.
my 2-year term, and I
Okay.
just barely turned it over to Julie Balk, who lives in the Salt Lake area right now. But we did some pretty cool things
Yes,
the
you
time
did.
that I was in.
Yeah,
did.
so not just great things for Carbon County,
Yeah.
but throughout the entire state. You were pretty active in a campaign that changed how nurse practitioners deal with Medicaid. Do you want
Right.
to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, that was very exciting and challenging in the same sense. So what is great about how I went about to change this is I had a lot of great people on my side. So I do have to mention Senator Hinkins, who helped with it. And then I also, like Four Corners Behavioral Health, the health department, they all wrote letters of support. So here was the issue. In the state of Utah, all nurse practitioners could not directly bill and be reimbursed by Medicaid, which seemed kind of odd because as nurse practitioners, and the reason why I came back to Carbon County was to fill that gap in women's health care I actually cover Carbon, Emery, and Grand County, where approximately 20,000 women live and have access to these services now. But in the state of Utah, you couldn't do that. You had to have a physician oversight, and then you would bill incidental to or underneath them, which wasn't great for transparency for nurse practitioner outcomes, as we know that they're excellent. So I went about changing it with the state health department, with the Utah Action Coalition for Health, and all of these other great organizations behind me. So we actually got that changed for every nurse practitioner in the state of Utah.
big deal.
It really
is a big
is, and it
deal.
was very exciting because it wasn't just for me, and it wasn't just for Carbon, Emery, and Grand County. It was for everyone.
Yeah.
And then we went on to negotiate 100% physician wages. They offered to pay us 75% of what the physicians get. But anybody who knows Medicaid knows that it's a very small amount anyways. So we went on to negotiate that. And so all of my nurse practitioner counterparts throughout the state are taken care of as well. So that made me very proud. And that helped to establish my business in allowing me to care for all women. We also partner with federal, state, and local programs so that no woman has to go without health care.
That's awesome.
That is great. Let's back up for a second. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got to be a nurse practitioner? Where did you go to school? And how did you end up here serving the people in Carbon County, the surrounding areas with Eastern Utah Women's Health?
Great. Well, I'm a local girl, so I was born and raised here. I've lived all over, which allowed me to see how healthcare works in different parts of the country. But I always wanted to come home, especially after my son was born. He was about 3.5, and I'm like, I want him to grow up in a community that I know loves and supports each other. And I also wanted him to be around my very large family. So we moved back here, but I started out going to school at CEU. And CEU at the time when I went was, I think, number 2 for nursing education. And so I was very fortunate that I got this great foundation education, getting my LPN and RN and my associate's degree in nursing. After that, I went to Weber State. It was an outreach program that was done at Payson Hospital. So I would go every week, Friday and Saturday, and we would sit in class. This was before all the great internet things. You guys are so
You couldn't
lucky.
Skype your class anymore.
Right. So I did that and got my bachelor's degree. And then after that, I went to the University of Utah, and I was accepted into their Women's Health Nurse Practitioner program. And so I finished with that in 2004. But then as things were changing in healthcare and all of this great stuff with how the ACA was coming on and how nurses were playing an integral role in what is going to happen with healthcare throughout the nation, I read this briefing on the Future of Nursing 2010 landmark report. And it kind of outlined, like, nurses need to advanced care and lead health. Wait, that was wrong. Lead change and advance health. Sorry about that. And so anyways, it really encouraged me to go back to school and get my doctorate degree. And so I went back to the University of Utah when I moved back home, and I got my doctorate degree in 2013, which at the same time, it propelled me to open up my own practice. So I really could fill that gap. I knew I could do a good job for the women in my community, and it makes me very proud that I'm able to help those women lead healthier lives, which in turn makes our community healthier.